After studying this module, you shall be able to describe Bandura's social cognitive theory. You will also be able to define key terms such as observational learning, modeling, imitation, reciprocal determinism and so on. State observational learning processes in terms of the role of attention, retention, reproduction, motivation and reinforcement. And you will also learn about the importance of observational learning in various areas of life. In the previous modules, we had focused on relatively basic ways of learning. We studied classical conditioning that occurs through the formation of associations and operant conditioning in which behavior changes as a result of rewarding or punishing consequences. In both the types of learning, we emphasized the relationship between stimuli and responses and avoided making reference to the organism that was playing a part in the learning processes. To understand this better, let us go back to the learning theorists once again. The learning theorists usually develop their concepts by experimenting with animals in physical settings. In their experiments, they created contrived situations and watched how animals ran through mazes, solved puzzle boxes and pressed levers in Skinner boxes. It is important to note that these situations were not social. Skinner and others then showed that the same principles also apply to learning in social contexts. Just as rats learn to press lever to get food, people learn to interact with others to obtain social rewards. However, over years, people have questioned this analogy and contended if human behavior can be equated with animal behavior. Albert Bandura in particular argues this and states that all learning that we are capable of does not necessarily take place by direct contact or interaction of a person with the environment. In fact, much of the learning actually comes about because we imitate and observe the behavior of others in our environment or gather information to mentally solve a problem. This type of cognitive learning is explored in this chapter on observational learning. Observational learning is a part of learning that occurs when a learner watches and replicates the behavior of a model. Bandura demonstrated that children learn a great deal by imitating the kinds of models that were present in their environment. He described this type of learning by conducting numerous studies on the capacity of children to learn through modeling. As stated earlier, observational learning requires a model whose behavior is modeled and imitated. This social model can be a parent, sibling, teacher, friend, a TV model whose behavior the learner observes, remembers and imitates. A social model is significantly important in observational learning because it facilitates cognitive process behavior. It helps the learner encode what they observe and store it in memory for later imitation. Observational learning suggests that an individual's environment, cognition and behavior all integrate and ultimately determine how the individual functions. To understand this better, let us share Bandura's television viewing experiment. In his 1961 study, Bandura investigated whether children's behaviors would be influenced by those that they observed. He investigated if social behaviors, that is, aggression, can be acquired by imitation. Under controlled conditions, boys and girls aged between 3 to 6 years were exposed to aggressive models on television. The children were divided into 3 situations. Each child was assigned to one of the 3 conditions, which meant that each child saw the same film but with different endings. A set of children watched on television an adult model behave aggressively, that is, the model punched, sat, shouted at a toy called Bobo doll. In this aggressive rewarded condition, the model was praised and given treats at the end of the film. Another set of children were exposed to an aggressive model who was punished at the end of the film, and finally, the third set of children were constituted, and the control group saw the model neither rewarded nor punished for his aggressive behavior. Immediately after the film, each child was escorted into a room with a Bobo doll and other toys. The experimenters observed the child through a one-way mirror and noted the child's aggressive behavior on the doll. The results of the study indicated that children imitated the violent behavior of adults. The children who were exposed to the aggressive model being rewarded at the end of the film exhibited around twice as much aggressive behavior than the children exposed to the aggressive model being punished, or the model that was neither punished nor rewarded. Those who had seen the model being punished for aggression on the Bobo doll exhibited significantly fewer imitations than those in the other two groups. The findings support Bandura's social learning theory, that is, children learn social behaviors such as aggression through the process of observational learning, through watching the behavior of another person. Thus, imitation and observation help people, especially children, to acquire new behaviors. Central to social learning theory is the identification of which type of models and reinforcements are more likely to be imitated. The study also demonstrated that children's behavior was influenced by indirect or vicarious experience. In other words, what they observed of another person's experience left an impact on their own behavior. Observation teaches us the probable consequence of new behavior. We noticed what happened when others try it. Bandura calls this process vicarious learning and reinforcement. Vicarious reinforcement also is a cognitive process. We formulate expectations about the outcomes of our own behavior without any direct action on our part. When new behavior is acquired through observation alone, the learning appears to be cognitive. The behavior that is learned through observation may or may not be manifested as actual behavior immediately after observation. When, for example, a child watches her teacher and later imitates her perfectly, she must have relied on some inner representation of the behavior which guides her own performance. Thus, Bandura, unlike Skinner, believes that learning theory must include internal cognitive variables due to which this child had been able to remember and consequently behave in a certain fashion later. This brings us to the components of observational learning. Bandura listed 4 processes that influence observational learning. These 4 components are attention, retention, motor reproduction processes, reinforcement, and motivation. Let us understand each of these 4 components. First, let's see attention. Before anything can be learned from a model, the model must be attended to. We selectively pay attention to what's happening around us. Models often attract our attention because there are distinctive characteristics of the models that a person identifies with. Research demonstrates that those models will be attended to more often who are familiar to the observer, that is, those who are, say, of the same sex or of the same age. They are respected, have high status, success, prestige and power, competence, and are attractive. Television is particularly successful in presenting models with engaging characteristics and influences us. For information gained from observation to be useful, it must be retained. Observers must not only recognize the observed behavior but also remember it at some later time. Since at times we imitate models, sometimes after we have observed them, we must have ways of remembering their actions in symbolic form. Bandura states that these are retentional processes in which information is stored symbolically in two ways: imaginally, often visual, and verbally. Once information is cognitively stored, it can be retrieved long after the observational behavior has taken place. This process depends on the observer's ability to structure the information in an easily remembered form or to mentally or physically rehearse the model's actions. Let us now try to understand motor reproduction processes. To reproduce behavior accurately, the person must have the necessary motor skills. That is, the observer must be physically and intellectually capable of producing the act. Motor and behavioral skills will determine what has been learned cognitively and will be translated into performance. A person may watch monkeys sway away from tree to tree by using their tails, but despite learning it cognitively, it cannot be translated into action. One needs to possess the necessary motor apparatus to make certain responses possible. For example, a child may watch his father or a circus juggler use saw and juggle respectively, but cannot imitate these actions on account of lack of physical strength and skill. Bandura maintains that in case one possesses the physical apparatus to make appropriate responses, then there is a period of cognitive rehearsal where the model compares his action and behaviors against their cognitive representation of the modeled experience. Any discrepancies between one's own behavior and the memory of the model's behavior triggers corrective action that creates a feedback loop which can be used gradually to match one's behavior with that of a model by utilizing self-observation and self-correction. Now let's understand reinforcement and motivation. In Bandura's theory, reinforcement creates an expectation in observers that if they act like a model who has been seen being reinforced for certain activities, they will be reinforced also. It also acts for translating learning into performance. The motivational processes provide a motivation for utilizing what has been learned. However, one may observe a model and thereby acquire new knowledge but may or may not perform the responses. For example, a boy may hear and learn some abusive words from adults, say a neighbor, but may not use them himself. Since we imitate others, if we are likely to gain rewards for that performance. If the boy sees that their adults getting rewarded for using abusive language, he may imitate him. But if he sees him being punished, he is less likely to imitate him. According to Bandura, an observer may simply observe the consequences of the behavior of others, storing the information symbolically and utilizing them when it is advantageous to do so. This is vicarious learning or reinforcement. Here Bandura departs from the reinforcement theorists in the use of reinforcement and punishment. For him, not just actual reinforcements and punishments, but also information on anticipated consequences can also determine behavior. Based on what we have just discussed, you may feel that imitation and observational learning can be used interchangeably. However, Bandura made a distinction between the two concepts. To understand this better, let us take an example. Suppose you drive down a street and the car in front of you hits a pothole. Based on your observation of the car, you maneuver in order to miss the hole and avoid damaging your car. Here you learned from your observation, but did not imitate what you had observed. What you learned according to Bandura was the information which was cognitively processed. This information and consequently observational learning is much more complex than imitation, which ordinarily involves mimicking another person's action. Human action is complex, and to understand it fully, we have to understand the person, the environment, and the person's behavior itself in totality. Let us explore how Bandura understands the same through reciprocal determinism. According to Bandura, the person, the environment, and the person's behavior all interact to produce the person's subsequent behavior. Bandura gave a three-way interaction system that is depicted in the figure. In terms of the figure, P is the person, E is the environment, and B is the person's behavior. This is referred to as reciprocal determinism. It can be inferred from this that behavior influences the person and the environment and the person influence the behavior. To say simply, how we act on the environment influences us, and the environment through reinforcements and punishments determine how we behave. Bandura further states that behaviors of individuals also create environments. But he maintained that any one of these components may be more influential at any given time. For example, a loud noise in the environment may momentarily have the greatest impact on a person's behavior. Reciprocal determinism will help understand how Bandura's observational learning may be applied to real life situations. According to Bandura, we imitate and learn through observation. Especially children can acquire a lot of behaviors through imitation and observational learning. Bandura's model thus is important to understand the contribution of modeling, imitation, observational learning in child rearing and education. As demonstrated by television viewing and learning of aggression by children experiment, children imitate and learn by observing role models. Hence, during socialization, children can be taught to avoid inappropriate behaviors and engage in pro-social behaviors. For appropriate behaviors, they can be given rewards and reinforcements, and for inappropriate behaviors, punishment can be an option. Since children observe reinforcements and punishments associated with different behaviors, giving consistent reinforcements and punishments help them decide what is expected of them. Modeling can have several effects on observers. New responses can be acquired by watching a model being reinforced for certain actions. The theory helps us understand the role of sensitive modeling in front of children. Children tend to imitate the most powerful models in their environment. They learn sex roles through observing models such as parents, teachers, elder siblings, and playmates. As also demonstrated by the study of children and television viewing, media images have long-lasting impacts on children. Hence, what images are portrayed in media, in television, films, newspapers, leaves a strong influence of children and even adults. If models engage in acts of smoking, drinking, and aggression, and they are rewarded for such acts, children will tend to believe that such acts bring favorable rewards and hence must be adopted. On the contrary, if such acts are discouraged through punishments, children will quote them as unfavorable and avoid themselves engaging in the same. They can be encouraged for pro-social behaviors through modeling. If the model practice what they preach, children and adults find them more believable and worthy of trust. Moral conduct of models are internalized by children who make these their own standards of good behavior. Similarly, Bandura's theory can guide teachers to model skills such as problem solving strategies, moral codes, performance standards to their students. Teachers' feedback in form of praise and criticism form basis for evaluation of self-efficacy, and hence teachers need to be careful in providing feedbacks. She may encourage students for their efforts and achievements of sub-goals so that they put in efforts. Their performance, behavior and environment become key factors in helping them evaluate themselves. This will be elaborated further in the next section. Let us look at self-regulation of behavior. Humans learn performance standard along with many other things from direct and vicarious experiences. These performance standards form the basis of self-evaluations. These standards arise from one's direct experience of praise and positive reinforcements of other kinds, or they may also arise by vicariously observing those behaviors for which others have been reinforced. A person may thus learn to place high value of behaviors that bring effective and desired rewards. This leads them to perform in certain fashion and also evaluate oneself on that performance. Bandura believed that intrinsic reinforcement and motivation that comes from self-evaluation is much more influential than extrinsic reinforcement and motivation given by others. Performances are partly governed by self-reinforcements, the evaluations we make of our own behaviors, and anticipated self-reactions. These are dependent on one's internalized standards of performance and conduct and by perceived self-efficacy. Each person perceives one's self-efficacy and sets performance goals in tandem with it. If a person's performance in a given situation meets or exceeds one's standards, the person will evaluate it positively. However, if one falls short of one's standards, then it will be evaluated negatively. These internalized performance standards or perceived self-efficacy plays an important role in self-regulated behavior. Perceived self-efficacy refers to one's belief concerning what one is capable of doing, and it arises from a variety of sources such as personal accomplishments and failures and motivational factors. Persons with high perceived self-efficacy try more and persist longer at a task than persons with low perceived self-efficacy. Beliefs that people have about themselves guide their sense of pride, self-worth and self-satisfaction. However, it is not necessary that one's perceived self-efficacy may correspond completely with one's real efficacy. Bandura's theory later became popular as the social cognitive theory. He recognized humans as unique, dynamic, information processing, problem-solving social organisms. Whether we learn through direct experience or through vicarious learning, we do so in social settings involving other people. We develop our cognitions, including our standards of performance and for moral judgment, on the basis of our observations and interactions with other people. Bandura emphasized that human agency, conscious planning, and intentional execution of actions influence future events. Humans are characterized by intentionality and forethought. Intentionality involves planning a course of action for some specific purpose, and forethought entails anticipating the consequences of our intentions. Thus, social cognitive theory does not support conditioning people and recognizes the key role played by their cognition in social situations. Let's quickly summarize what we have already done. We know that observational learning occurs when a learner watches and replicates the behavior of a model. Bandura stated that learning actually comes about by imitation, observation of the behavior of others in our environment, and because we gather this information, to mentally solve a problem. Imitation and observational learning help individuals acquire new behaviors. Observational learning involves attention, retention, motor and behavior abilities, and reinforcements and motivation. An individual's environment, cognition, and behavior all integrate and ultimately determine how an individual functions. Social learning theory helps understand which types of models and reinforcements are likely to be imitated. Observation of another person's experience leaves an impact on our own behavior. This learning by indirect experience is called vicarious learning. Reciprocal determinism means that the person, the environment, and the person's behavior, all three interact to produce the person's subsequent behaviors.